Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. Let me turn the volume down here and give you guys over on YouTube and Facebook some music to listen to in the background. There we go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? What's up, 2Ks? It is I'm really excited about this this show tonight, 2Ks, because it's the All-Star break. We kind of get to take a step back. I mean, we had the Futures game last night. We've got the draft going right here. Tomorrow night, we've got the Derby. And then, of course, the All-Star game on Tuesday. So, no, it really doesn't mean anything anymore. I like it better that way. I thought having the home field advantage determined by the winner of the All-Star game was kind of a sham, and I think it actually did hurt a couple teams. So I'm glad it is what it should be, just an exhibition game. But yeah, like I was telling the folks over on TikTok, we've been talking about doing this for years because we break down, we give you our picks preseason or like we did early in the season this year. And I actually went through and recorded all of our picks. So I'm super excited about that. Brandon Montgomery to the Red Sox. All right. Welcome to Boston, kid. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. We've got some news. Like I said, we're going to dig into some surprises, some disappointments so far in the first quote unquote half of the season. 2Ks, are you ready to get this party started, brother?
Let's do it.
All right. How was your weekend, my friend?
It was good. We didn't do a whole lot, and we were due for a weekend like that.
Did you golf in the Wildcat Open yesterday?
Did not golf in the Wildcat. I golfed in the alumni one over at Spruce Ridge on Friday night.
Oh, okay.
And, decided that one night of golf this weekend was enough for me.
Well, and the reason I ask is, we didn't hear from you guys this weekend, so I figured you and Chell went out Saturday morning, sweat your absolute ass off.
We did not. We actually spent Saturday just sitting by the pool.
I tell you what, that's way better. You can always tell when the Wildcat Open is going to be because it's the hottest fucking day of the summer. So, hands down, I'm glad nothing's changed in that aspect. But let's get started on some news here, 2Ks. Just a couple tidbits here. First off, let's start off with this is a tweet from Underdog MLB. Bryce Harper is just the 79th player in MLB history to homer against every team. And did you see which team was the last team that he had to homer against?
This is Oakland.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah, Oakland, yeah.
I don't know if just because he hasn't played against Oakland that much, but you would think a team that terrible, Bryce would just kind of feast all over that. But it is what it is. He's gotten that out of the way. So kudos to you, Bryce. And yeah, I mean, 79 players in the entire MLB history. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Speaking of cool, let's talk. Here's a little Nolan Ryan stat. It's kind of become one of our trademarks here, 2Ks. If you don't follow Baseball History Nut at Nut History over on Twitter, you should, especially if you're a baseball fan. But it says Nolan Ryan faced 58 Red Sox batters on June 14th, 1974. That's one game. 58 batters. Striking out 19, walking 10 in a 13-inning no decision. He threw 278 pitches and struck out leadoff man Cecil Cooper 6 times. 6 times. He got the dual golden sombrero.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
That's a rough day for Cecil.
Yeah. He's sitting there going, there's no way they're running him back out. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that Ryan's coming back out because this is just not my day. I think after 4 Ks in a row, I think I might have pulled a hammy or my lower back might have tightened up a little bit. But yeah, that is a rough day at the office for sure. And in 2 Ks, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer here, but let's continue on the kind of not so good news train here. This is from Jeff Passan. Los Angeles Dodgers right-hander Dustin May will miss the rest of the 2024 season after undergoing surgery. This is a new one for me. I had never heard of anyone tearing their esophagus.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's coming out. He was projected to come off of Tommy John surgery, so a huge drawback to not only him, because when he's on, he's electric.
Sure.
I mean, he is one of the better young arms in the game. Cannot miss him with the carrot top red flow coming out of the hat. Just, I mean, probably in any team could be a starter or a reliever. Could you imagine him just cranking it up for an inning or two? Good Lord. But yeah, I actually had to click on it to see what exactly in surgery for your esophagus was. And
Yeah,
I guess it was something glandular in there. It's not like he got hi-ya karate chopped or something.
sure.
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, was dude in a bar fight? I mean, what? How does one get?
Yeah, normally when
Yeah,
you're talking about, sports injuries, stuff like that, you're worried about them, getting back and
yeah,
how long is it going to be? This is more of a life-threatening injury
yeah,
here. So
yeah,
just glad that it sounds like everything's on the up and up, and he'll be playing baseball. Going to take some time, take some time to
yeah.
recover from it, but sounds like he's gonna be all right.
But yeah, T's and P's go out to him. But 2K's the bigger question is, where does this leave this Dodgers pitching staff? I mean, they are just walking wounded.
Yeah.
Yamamoto got put on the 60-day DL today. Add on that Dustin May. Walker Buehler's just coming back, a handful of starts. Not so sure how kind of severe the lower back with Glass now is. Maybe it was just he wanted a longer All-Star break, didn't really want to participate in any of the All-Star activities, which I get. There's plenty of people that do that. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at, and they just demoted a dude because he was getting lit the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
So you think they're, on paper, this juggernaut. I mean, when we get to our picks, I mean, we all just were like, just Dodgers, Dodgers,
Yeah.
Dodgers, Dodgers.
Yeah.
But it's not shaping up that way. I mean, yes, we'll not to jump ahead, but they're still playing very, very good baseball. It's just their pitching needs to be addressed at the trade deadline here coming up soon, and they have not only the prospects but the money to make a run at any starting pitcher out there. So yeah, it's pretty much just a train wreck over there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. We talked about all the big names that they have, but I think like when you compare them to the Phillies, who are, in my opinion, the best team in baseball right now, when you compare the Dodgers to them, the Phillies maybe don't have the top, they're not as top heavy as the Dodgers
Yeah.
are, but they are a deeper team, 1 through 9, and they are, maybe the best pitching team in all of baseball.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers are going to have to be an active team here come trade deadline time, and they're going to have to improve that pitching staff if they're going to compete with the Phillies and some of the other teams in the National League.
Which is sad because both you and I are huge Glasnow fans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kid when he's on is almost untouchable. So, yeah, Dodgers are always a team, movers, shakers at the deadline. So it'll be kind of interesting to see A, who's on the market, and B, who they target. So that we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Well, here's some good news, 2Ks. This is from MLB Pipeline. Okay, this is Ethan Holiday. Ethan Holiday, son of Matt and brother of Jackson, crushed 11 dingers during round 1 of the high school home run derby. And if I would have taken the correct tweet or the entire tweet, you would say that this would go on to say that Ethan quite possibly might be the best of the 3, which is kind of scary because Pops had a long, awesome pro career himself. Probably some of the thickest quads in the game. And then obviously Jackson, very highly touted by not only the Orioles but
Number
MLB.
one prospect in baseball right now. So
yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, he fell on his face when he came up." I don't give a fuck. He's gonna be back. Don't worry about it. So I'm not so sure how many of these Holiday kids there are, but if they keep coming up and they're this good, Matt, get on it. Give us some more because we love it. We love it. And we'll save the rest of those. You and I were talking before we went live. My Red Sox are kind of making some noise here. And this is a tweet from Jared Carabas from Baseball is Dead and the Section 10 podcast. He says Red Sox first 51 games, 26 and 25. Yankees last 51 games, 26 and 25. Red Sox last 49 games, 31 and 18, best record in baseball. Yankees first 49 games, 33 and 16, best record in baseball. So it's like the Red Sox sucked or played 500 in the first half or the first quarter, and really turned it on here lately. Whereas the Yankees turned it on in the beginning, and now they're kind of fading. So it's going to be interesting. Well, I just wanted to throw that in there as a teaser here real quick. But is there any other news that we now you should be proud of me, 2Ks, because there was a tweet about Angel Reese that I decided, you know what, we'll give the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark little battle here. We'll give it a break. Don't want to beat a dead horse by any means, but just kind of give it a break. So you should be very proud of me, because A, not only am I getting kind of tired of talking about it, but B, we get a lot of views on stuff like that. We get a lot of views on stuff like that. Well, 2Ks, let's jump to I kind of threw this in with the surprises here. Let me bring up our picks here, and I'll see if you can remember who you picked, because this was an episode. It was me, you, and Christian. We started off with our American League division winners. We started in the West. Do you remember who you took?
American League West. I think I took Houston.
You did indeed. Christian and I both took the Rangers. Now, if you look at the standings here, the West is being led by neither of those teams, but the Mariners.
Mm-hmm.
Astros are very close. Texas is 5 games back, so I'm not ready to give up on my Rangers pick quite yet. Now there has been rumors as where they're going to be sellers, coming close to the deadline rather than buyers like last year. I really don't see that, because now if they were further back, then I would say yes. But let me check where they're at in the wild card here. So they can't be too far down on the wild card. They're actually closer to the division in 5 games. They're 7.5 games back of the wild card. So strike that from the record. But yeah, this team's getting healthier. So, but then again, so are the other teams. So are the Astros. So
yeah,
I would say you're kind of the leader in the clubhouse with that one right now.
Well, this is to me is kind of the division of disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
You have the last year's World Series champions. Yep. Texas has just not been very good this year. Houston got off to such a bad start, couldn't pitch the ball. They're starting to kind of turn it around right now. Seattle has pitched the ball pretty damn good.
Just can't hit.
And mm-hmm. They're starting, Julio's starting to figure it out these last few games. He's looked a lot better. So it's almost like, 2 or 3 of these teams are starting to turn it around and maybe are going to get hot here and go on and win a few, win some consecutive games and maybe do something here at the deadline. But to me, you could have talked about Texas being able to repeat. You could have talked about Houston at the beginning of the season being able to possibly win it all again, just because of the top heavy, the guys that they have that have been there for years. And then Seattle was that up and coming team that honestly, if they would have got to get to the playoffs and make a run, and people were saying that at the beginning of the year, it wouldn't have shocked anybody.
No.
So when you look at the records of those 3 teams right now in this division, I think to me it's pretty disappointing.
Yeah. No, that was going to be part of my letdowns, when it does come to that. But the Central, you and I both took the Tigers. Christian took the Royals. Feeling way more confident in his pick than ours.
Hey, I tell you what though, the thing with the Tigers is, I sat here, I think it was last weekend, and talked, quite a bit of shit about them, and honestly kind of spouted off about, hey, maybe it is time to look at a possible trade with Skubal. And I think that these players kind of heard, not just from me, but from the quickness all around baseball of
their listeners.
Skubal is maybe on the lookout, because I want to put it past Scott Harris, kind of where they were at 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Wanting to put it past Scott Harris to at least listen to see what other teams have to offer for him. And they've went out and I think they are 8-2 in their last 10 games.
They are indeed.
So by the time they started talks about, and players don't want to see Skubal go. Nope. They know that he's the best pitcher in baseball right now.
Yes.
And they know that if they're going to have an opportunity here in the next 2-3 years to, be a playoff team and maybe make a run, he's going to have to be a part of that team. So
yeah, they just took 2 out of 3, I believe, from the Dodgers. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, and especially in the last couple of weeks, we've seen some kind of subpar teams take some series. I mean, if you look at the Orioles, I believe, were swept by the Cubs and the Cubs are terrible.
Yeah.
Cubs are absolutely terrible.
They won the series against the Dodgers, and before that, won the series against Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah. In the East, it was a clean sweep. We all took the Orioles. I'm still very confident in that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though, like I said, and I'm not saying that the Red Sox are, they have Baltimore in their sights, because you know what, the Yankees are a game back of the Orioles right now.
Yeah.
And we just saw those two play a series the last 3 days, and if there could have been a split in a 3-game series, they split. But the Red Sox are sitting there at 4.5 back in the division. They have the third wild card spot. Just a matter of what the old the brass up there is kind of thinking. So
Yeah.
that's going to be the question moving forward.
And I think if you're the Red Sox right now, you're a little bit ahead of schedule to where I don't think you want to make I don't think you're in that mode that Baltimore or the Yankees are in right now, where you're willing to give up a haul for a pitcher. And to me, when you start talking about Baltimore and New York, you got to think both of those teams are going to be in the sweepstakes for a Garrett Crochet, for a Jack Flaherty, for some of these other pitchers that are going to be tossed around here in the next couple of weeks. So, but to me, if I'm a Boston fan, which I know you are, I'm thinking maybe just a little bit ahead of schedule. Don't want to do anything too crazy right now, because I think even Boston adding an arm, I don't think that they're ready to compete with those other two teams in the division yet.
No, with the Red Sox, there's two substantial holes: starting pitching and a right-handed bat. And there's been the name Randy Arozarena being kind of floated about there. But you are 100% right. There's the top three, the big three there, and there's actually a big four in their farm system that, in my opinion, are untouchable. Just because this is the game plan they've put forward.
Right.
And the way these kids are playing right now, there is absolutely no way that you even entertain anything. But I do think there's serviceable guys that you can get for, I'm not going to say a discounted price, but you could move some ancillary players without having to break up what is a very young team. So, and would that mean, and there's been rumors of them trading the closer, Kenley Jansen, and Kenley did not help matters much by saying, I want to finish my I want to finish my career in LA with the Dodgers. He's under contract for this year and I believe next year. So the only way he would be able to get there here soon would be through a trade. They signed Liam Hendrickson in the offseason, knowing he's not going to be ready. So at this point, you're competitive. I wouldn't. You don't trade any big league talent right now.
Sure.
I mean, like I said, some ancillary prospects. Sure, I get it. But you're right. Leaps and bounds from where any of us even came close to thinking this team was going to be. 2Ks, your wild cards were the Rangers and the Yankees. Still like both those.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to me, the shockers. Kansas City is a shocker to me. That was a good call by Christian on that one. Even Cleveland, they're at the top right now. They're kind of a shocker to me too, that they're where they're at. Because
a shocker, the best team, the best record in baseball as we sit today.
Yeah. So that one's that one has been a major shock to me. But as far as those, I'm pretty happy with those two picks. I think they both have, pretty good chances of getting there. I think Texas is a team that could definitely get hot, just like they did last year.
Yeah. And Christian and I both had Tampa, which we can pretty much shut the door on that one. I had Houston. He had the Yankees. Still, those two could actually win the division, let alone the wild card. So, very very happy with that. Very happy with that. National League, the Central. You and I were on the same wavelength with the Cubs. That sucks.
It's been a giant disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been hitting.
Yeah.
Their pitching is okay. Their starting pitching has been good, aside from Liam or Hendricks, because he's like 95 years old, trying to break Jamie Moyer's record. And I'm pretty sure you and I could throw harder than him right now. and we haven't thrown a baseball in quite some time. But yet, and then Christian took Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not as I feel better about his Pittsburgh pick than our Cubs pick by leaps and bounds. But when I was going through and listening to the episode, you were like, I know I got to take the Brewers here, but I always count them out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it is. I always count them out. And sure as shit, I mean, they've kind of distanced themselves in this. They've sat atop this division pretty much all year.
Mm-hmm.
They have a 4.5 game lead over what we kind of left the Cardinals for dead. I mean, we thought for sure that the Cubs, they would finish at the bottom of this in this division, and they're actually, they're 4.5 back. Pittsburgh 6.5 back. Cincinnati's 8, and the Cubs are 8.5. So yeah, the Cubs have been a train wreck. Their run differential is -5. However, like I said, the Cardinals, who I believe are in a wild card spot, I have a -38 run differential 2Ks, and the Reds have a +38. So kind of interesting to see that flip flop. But yeah, our central picks did not really pan out like we thought. The East was a clean sweep, the Braves, and that was prior to the Acuna Jr. Injury. Spencer Strider had gone down at that point, unfortunately, but to lose both of those guys, and yeah, they're 8.5 back of the Phils. They're in my opinion, it's either wild card or bust for them. I don't think they can make up 8.5 against a Phillies team that's proven to be this good for this long. So even though I'm still a huge Braves fan, still a huge Acuna fan, love everything they have going on over there. But I just think losing those two guys in particular, your two stars, is just, I'm actually surprised that they're this close.
Yeah.
Let's take a peek at the wild card here. Atlanta has the first wild card spot, and they're 4 games up on the Cardinals. And currently, as we sit now, the New York Mets would have the last wild card spot at 49 and 46.
Yeah, that Mets situation is, they keep, it's like they're like a roller coaster team. They started off so bad, then they started playing really, really well and kind of got themselves back into it. Then they went on another little lull, lost more games, and then they're starting to play a lot better now. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see what they do at deadline time, because they got some pretty big contracts, some of them expiring contracts, and they're going to have some decisions to make. Yeah, and there's going to be teams that are interested in Alonso to put him in, especially not interested in him for the long haul, but interested in him for the the end of the season, to give him a middle of the lineup bat and a guy that can run into one at any time.
Yes, he can be a game changer, but definitely not the numbers that we're used to seeing him putting up. Now, 2Ks, here's the conundrum with the wild card here in the National League. The Diamondbacks are 1 back, Padres are 1 back, Pirates are 1.5 back, Giants are 3 back, Reds are 3 back, Cubs, believe it or not, are 3.5 back, and then the Nats are 6 games back, and then the Rockies are 16, Miami Marlins 16.5. So there's still, a number of teams. As far as the Cubs go, they have to be sellers. This is just a shell of what they thought they were going to have. Not a good look for Craig Counsell. I was telling you that big deal, which we'll get to here in a little bit. The Padres probably are the team that scares me the most out of any of these teams, other than the Braves. To get into the playoffs, and just think they're doing this without Juan Soto. They couldn't do this last year when they had him. So to me, that's the biggest. Like, what the fuck was going on there?
Yeah.
Yes, there was a coaching change, and there was some other things too, but man, you would think, look what he's doing in the Yankee lineup. He, for whatever reason, he couldn't do that in that Padres lineup, who arguably way more athletic than this Yankee lineup. So I don't know. If I was a team, I would not want to play the Padres in a 3-game series.
No, No, and I mean they've been doing a lot of their winning here
Yeah.
without Tatis. Going to get him back. Sounds like fairly soon,
Mm-hmm.
following the All Star game here. So that's going to be huge for them. To me, it's been talking about Jackson Merrill, been
Mm-hmm.
just huge for them. Jurickson Profar been huge for them.
Career year for Profar.
Yeah, like they've had some guys step up. So yeah, they're an exciting team, but yeah, you can't help but ask yourself what the hell happened
Yeah.
with them. They gave up a lot for Soto,
Oh yes.
and for it to work out the way that it did, um, I think they would really wish that they could take that trade back.
Yeah. 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 Especially considering they had to give up C.J. Abrams and look at the year he's having now.
Yeah.
Granted, would be another shortstop and a whole team full of shortstops plus Juan Soto.
Hey, but to me that's not a problem. When you have
No.
a team full of shortstops, the thing is shortstops can play everywhere. You
Yes.
can make them any position you want, with the exception of pitcher and catcher. So, I like that strategy of drafting a lot of shortstops.
Just don't overpay them.
Or
Like
could be in the
like
Tigers
Xander
situation where
Bogaerts.
you don't have anybody. They never, with exception of tonight, they finally draft a fucking shortstop, but they never draft shortstops. And look at the situation that they're in. They have Javi Baez, who is fucking dog shit.
Yes.
But they have nobody to replace him with.
No.
Nobody. There is nobody that they can. They've tried it. They've tried different people. Zach McKinstry's not the fucking answer.
Strap them up, 2Ks.
Creeder kid, not the answer. So it's like they have set themselves up. They keep on drafting over and over these so-called bats, potential bats, but they are corner infielders,
Yeah.
or a second baseman, and it's like, what the fuck? What is your strategy?
Well, it's the old adage. You put even going back to Little League, the most athletic kids are shortstops, center fielders, and pitchers, and a lot of times it's the same kid. The same kid can play all three. So, but getting back to this, it was a clean sweep of the West with the Dodgers. I still really like that pick. However, let's see what the lead is here now. It is 7 with the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Deadlock there at 7 back. I think that's about the most rock solid pick that we have here.
Yeah.
We all picked the Orioles. That's still up in the air. So that's the as far as who we picked. I think we nailed that one. Let's see your wild card picks were the Phillies and the Brewers. If you consider we all had the Braves, Phillies Braves. I'll count that. I had the Phillies and the Pirates, and Christian had the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. And as we said, that wild card's still wide open. Still wide open. So pretty much all of those teams are in play, except for your two are leading the division right now. World Series picks. Christian had Phillies, Diamondbacks. Nope, looking at the wrong line. He had Braves, Rangers, Braves in 6. You had Orioles, Dodgers, Orioles in 6. I have Orioles and Braves, Orioles in 7. So all those are still alive. All those are still alive. Christian's Rangers pick is probably the least confident one out of the bunch, but still, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, at this time last year, nobody was banking on Texas being there.
No.
It's what happened. Baseball is so big, and when these teams make moves at the deadline, and it's what happens there after that deadline. Because if you get a team that's up there and they get hot, and then they're willing to add. Last year Texas adds 2 pitchers.
Yep.
What are some of these teams gonna do? And say Cleveland, goes out and makes a move and adds another arm to an already good staff that they have, or Baltimore, that being so as good as what they are, they add one more arm to that. Like that, a team can really separate themselves here in the next couple of weeks if they're willing to make a move and give up some some prospects in it, but. You have to make that decision of do you want to win right now and not so much worry about what's going on 5, 6, 7 years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. Manager of the year, you took Brandon Hyde and Craig Counsell.
That Counsell pick, I wish I could take back.
Christian took Hyde and Shelton. I took Hinch and Counsell. So mine are definitely shit in the bed there. And it's not to say that AJ Hinch is doing a bad job. It's just that it's very hard to, when the AL manager of the year is in the same division.
I mean, to be fucking 47-50 and with that lineup,
Yeah.
I mean that lineup is dog shit.
Yeah.
You have, I mean, Riley Green is about the only one that I would say is a true everyday player.
Yeah.
The rest of them, they're just a bunch of fucking pencil marks, and you don't. I mean, they could be. As of late, the last couple of weeks, Colt Keith has started to pick it up, and he's been, very good for them. But you weren't
He's the
expecting
rookie this year,
Torkelson to be
correct?
playing in the fucking minors. And
No.
Torkelson's been gone for a month, and Kerry Carpenter, another up and coming bat for them, has been injured now for over a month. So you take your two best power hitters out, and to still be at 47-50. I mean, unfortunately, I think the Tigers are going to end the season with probably a losing record. If anything, maybe they can get to a 500 record, and that's not going to win you a manager of the year.
No.
But with having that record with what he has,
Yeah.
to me, it's pretty impressive.
But yeah, that I think we can both agree that Stephen Vogt's bringing that one home.
Yeah.
And with what he's doing in Cleveland, where I think when I say we, it's we as a baseball community outside of the people that really know Stephen Vogt. They're like, okay, big shoes to fill with Terry Francona retiring, and where has this guy coached before? Yes, he was a catcher. I get it. Catchers make the best coaches. Get that too. But I don't think any of us saw the job that he's done so far. Not only in the record, but just this team's dangerous.
Oh yeah.
This is a very, very good team. Like you said, best record in baseball right now at the All-Star break. As far as the NL, I don't know if there's really a one that jumps off the page here, but yeah, Stephen Vogt for sure. Yeah, just glancing here, there really isn't one that's just like bam. This is a lock.
I mean, I guess if I was going to pick one right now, you'd have to go with Rob Thompson for Phillies manager. That'd be the one that you'd probably leader in the clubhouse right now.
Totally agree. See, we did comeback player of the year next. In the NL, we all took O'Neal Cruz. I took Tyler O'Neill. You took Mike Trout. Not looking so hot for that one. Even though we were all
like, such a good start.
Oh yes. And Christian took Garrett Crochet. I'm not so sure that's he'd be considered in a lot of crews as the comeback player of the year, but having one hell of a year regardless. Rookie of the year, I took Langford and Yamamoto. Yamamoto has been hurt, so that one's pretty much crumble that one up and throw it away. Still kind of high on Langford right now. I mean, he's been on and off the IL. Right now, he's about as hot as any player in baseball right now.
Except for the cycle a few nights ago.
Yeah, so that was awesome. You took Holiday and Churio. Churio's been very, very good so far.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with Holiday, I think he got called up too soon.
Yeah.
And I think if that doesn't happen, he probably would have been called up by now.
Yeah.
And maybe would have been eased in a little bit better. And now he's in a situation where he struggled so bad, and some of these other young kids for them have not struggled. They've excelled, especially the Westberg kid. And so he's kind of position locked out of there right now. But yeah, the Churio one, he's been good, but I think Merrill in San Diego.
Yeah, that's and the cool part is this rookie of the year thing could change week to week. That's how dynamic a lot of these kids are, and it's just awesome to watch. Cy Young, you and I both took Skubal. Christian and I both took Glasnow. He took Corbin Burns on the AL, and you took Zach Gallen on the NL. So definitely love the Skubal pick. I mean, that if the season ended right now, if he doesn't win the AL Cy Young, there's something wrong. But yeah, I really like that pick. Like I said, always been huge on. Damn it! Come on. Always been huge on Glass now, so hopefully he can get back and get doing his thing. And it's not just it's just a hey, I wanted some extra time off stuff rather than an actual injury. So, and Zach Gallen's still alive. I mean, I don't hate that.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, hard to argue Chris Sale right
Yeah.
now. In the National League, Zach Wheeler just kind of the Mr. Consistent. Seems like he's always real good. And then you got Paul Skeens, and what's he gonna do here in the second half?
Yeah.
Is he gonna start to get a little bit more of a, where they're gonna let him not have him on such a pitch count?
Yeah.
Knocked on the door with a no hitter this
For the
earlier
second time.
for the second time. Yeah, and
Second
two
time.
consecutive starts, right?
No, it was earlier in the year.
Oh, okay.
It's like his fourth or fifth start. He went 6 no hit with more than 10 Ks. This one he went 7 no hit, I believe, and 11 Ks,
Yeah.
11 or 12 Ks. First time that's happened since like 1908 or some shit
Like,
where
if
he was.
he gets hot, he gets hot here and pitches the way that he already has to this point, and say Pittsburgh as a team gets hot and they maybe flirt with a wild card spot. I'm not going to count him out. He's got a legitimate shot. Chris Sale and Zach Wheeler have been really, really good, but they haven't been like where nobody can catch them good.
No,
So
and that was going to be one of my surprises. So I won't ruin that. But MVP, you and I both took Soto and Otani. Don't hate both of those. Just that, and Christian both took Soto as well. He took Acuna on the NL side, so that one's dead. The only thing with the Soto pick is Aaron Judge right now.
mhm.
I think if the season ended today, should be the
Aaron
unanimous.
Judge is- yeah. You can't argue that one bit, and that's and I mean, and I think right now, if you chalk it up, I would say Soto's probably in third, maybe fourth in that running, because I think Gunnar Henderson has to be
Yeah.
number two.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Judge just having the 30 plus home runs at this point right now, and all the RBIs that he has, and batting over 300, Gunnar Henderson is probably the leader in the clubhouse.
Yes.
But Judge has just been so damn good.
Well, there's some other surprises here I wanted to talk about before we get the letdowns here, and it does involve Mr. Paul Skeens. We're going to dick ride some more. But let's get to the first Skeens tweet here. This is actually from the Pirates account. Paul Skeens now has recorded 7+ strikeouts in 8 consecutive starts, a new franchise record. The Pirates have been around for a long time, 2Ks. So when you do something for the first time in Pirates history, that's pretty legit. See what the next one is here. This is from Jay Hay over at Baseball's Dead. Paul Skeens joins Nolan Ryan as the only pitchers ever with multiple starts of 6+ innings, zero hits, and 11 Ks in the same season. Skeens did it this year. Nolan Ryan did it in 1973. So it's been quite a time, quite a time since that happened. So, in my opinion, when you can have your name etched right next to Nolan Ryan in any stat, I think you're doing something right. And let's go to the last one here. I'm sure everyone knows this by now. Paul Skeens will be starting the All-Star game for the National League. And we talked about it last week. Like, this is something I want to see. Because the lineups haven't, like, the batting order has not been released yet, but you would have to think it has to be something along the lines of Gunnar Henderson, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Flip flop those three however you want to, but if I'm putting together a batting order, that's the way I'm doing it with that team, and that's what I want to see. We saw how he did against Otani. First at bat, blew it by him, strikeout. Second at bat, gets I believe is a 1-2 count. Next thing you know, it's 400 plus over center field fence. So this is it's the litmus test right now. I want to see the best against the best. And you mentioned him in the Cy Young mentions. By all means.
Sure.
I mean, since he debuted, has like I believe he has the lowest ERA, either first or second in strikeouts. I mean, you insert stat here, he leads or is in the top 3. And for him to be doing it as a rookie, and on top of that, like you said, there's there's a pitch count, there's an innings count. It's kind of like the Strasburg rules. Now it's a Skeens rule. Do I agree with it? I mean, when you have something this unique and this spectacular, yes, you kind of. This isn't this dude's 5th year. It's his rookie year. You want him for those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. You don't. Going back to what the Tigers did with Michael Fulmer, as sad as that was. That's definitely the situation you don't want yourself to be in. So if they are kind of, and now if they're leading the division or a game back of the division, then I say, yeah, you kind of, I'm not saying, drop it into 3rd gear by any means, but it at least either drop it down into 4th and let the engine rev a little bit, or just, I'm not saying mash on the gas, but give them a little bit more.
Sure.
And we've talked at great lengths, and more Paul Skeens is awesome. I love every minute of it. And when I saw the alert on my phone that Paul Skeens was no hitting through 6, I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, then you see where his pitch count was.
Yeah,
and you knew, but yeah.
How? All right.
He's must-watch TV. That's the thing.
Down.
He's the one pitcher in the game right now. Like, name another pitcher in the game that is must-watch TV. Like, you have to. You can't miss what he's going to do because he's going to flirt with it. You go back. Remember when Verlander was just like, you had to watch him every night because he was going to flirt with a no-hitter every single time he took the mound. He was going to. And Skeens is not at that level yet because I think he's got a little bit of a. They're worried about pitch count and all that. To where when Verlander was doing that, he was 6, 7 years into his career. Yeah. This is a kid that is in the 1st year of his career.
Yeah.
And is doing it already. So he is above and beyond any pitcher that we've seen.
And let's take a step back and look at the last year of his career.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're watching the draft right now. So around about this time last year, he was taken number 1 overall. A few weeks prior to that, won the College World Series. And if that game really would have needed him, he was slated to pitch that game, or he was warming up in the bullpen. So gets a ring. Number 1 overall pick, starting the All-Star game, and potentially if you had to ask me right now, I'm giving him my Cy Young pick before Chris Sale and before Wheeler and before any of the other pitchers in the National League right now. Just because, yet does he have the innings numbers? No. But if you're looking at just the eye test, and this is taking nothing away from any of those other National League pitchers. I'm a huge Chris Sale guy, even though I'm a Red Sox fan. I was hoping he would do well in Atlanta, and I think he's far surpassed any expectation that anyone had for him. But just eye test, like who is a better player right now? And you have to give that to Paul Skeens right now. And I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm not going to hem-haw around it. This again, season ends right now. He's my Cy Young in the NL. And don't care if he has 4 or 5 starts fewer than the other guys. Don't care. Ranger Suarez, great season. The kid from the Braves, unhittable, great season. Paul Skeens is it for me. Yes. And now we're going to get there. Guys are dick riding Paul Skeens. Guys are dick riding Paul Skeens.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Why not? There's no other pitcher in the game right now with the exception of Skubal, maybe. And Skubal is great. Look, I'm the biggest Tigers fan there is. I love Skubal. Yeah. But Paul Skeens, and the upside that he has is way beyond anything of Skubal's.
This is something
he's dominant. Like he can dominate games, and he's in the 1st year of his career, and he's only going to get nothing but better and better. And to me, I personally have never seen a pitcher at this age walk into Major League Baseball and 6, 7 starts that he's made so far, or 8 starts that he's made so far, and be 6-0, have an ERA and 1 something,
1.9.
Yeah, like it's fucking incredible. So yeah, Dick ride all. I'm gonna Dick ride all fucking the rest of the year on this kid.
Dick ride his whole career.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible what he's doing.
And this is we kind of saw this with Steven Strasburg, but not to this extent.
No,
he was not. He was very good. Very good his rookie year.
Wasn't winning a College World Series, though.
No.
And then a few months later, pitching in the big leagues.
No.
It didn't go down like that. So, when you go back to a few years before that, when the Tigers took Casey Mize, he was the number 1 pick. Everybody said he's the number 1 guy. You got to take him. Well, he isn't. It wasn't anything close to what
No,
Skeens was.
no.
You know,
And it's I was talking to Kristen about this when we were watching the draft preview. So she, I was trying to explain to her that it's very rare for someone to get drafted in June. I mean, there have been guys that, because we were kind of saying, all right, well, if the Pirates are in it, do you call up Skeens last year?
mm-hmm.
And there have been some guys that have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the norm? No.
Yeah.
What even the very short amount of time in the minors that Skeens had is still very unusual. Usually a starting pitcher, you're looking at 2 or 3, even 4 years to develop to get to the point where you come up, and then you, it's just not normal to dominate like the way he is. That's not the norm. That's not the norm at all. If every GM could hit just one of those players in the first round every year, do you know how it'd be so much easier to draft baseball players?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not the case. It's just not the case. So yeah, Dick Ride sesh over. 2Ks. Let's talk about some letdowns here. Because we mentioned a couple. The Cubs, terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. When rewatching our picks episode, I was so I chose the Cubs to win that division because they, on paper, going into the season, had one of the best defensive infields in baseball. And even Dansby Swanson, of all people, who is known for his glove. The hitting is extra. He's an above average hitter, yes, but both sides are down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this team is bad. And I'm not saying that Counsell has to go by any means, just a 1-year sample size, but it's not looking good, especially for how much he's getting paid. I think as far as the White Sox, I didn't think they were going to be this bad. I thought they'd be bad. But another team to throw in their 2Ks is Tampa.
Yeah.
Tampa has been very, very disappointing. Toronto as well. But Tampa in particular, and Christian kept saying in that episode, I will never count out Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought they'd be this far back. I mean, and granted, we're saying this far back and they're 500, but it's just the teams above them are so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And they're 48-48. If they were in any other division, they'd be right in the mix in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is not your normal Tampa team.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's they're kind of coming back to reality a little bit too. I thought last year, they got off to such a good start.
Yeah.
And kind of separated themselves, and then it was like they just went into kind of coast mode through that second half of the season. And I kept saying all last year, like they're not that good. Like
No.
they got off to such a good start, but they're not a team that's going to make a run in the postseason. They're not built that way. They were built to have 2 months in the beginning of the season and be really, really good, but not built to withstand that for an entire season. They're just not built. They're not that good. And then you put in going into this year, all the shit with Wander Franco being out.
Yeah,
and that kind of just put an end to it, the whole thing. Like if any chances of them being a relevant team for much longer when all that happened kind of just went out the window. He was the focal point of that team, and they've been extremely disappointing. But to me, I think probably the easiest answer here in the American League as far as the most disappointing team has to probably go to, honestly, for me, Texas.
Yeah. Yep.
You win a World Series last year and you didn't. Who did you lose? I mean, other than
Jordan
Montgomery. That's it.
And he's been terrible.
And he hasn't been very good for him. No. Yeah. So it's like, and then you have the rookie in Langford coming in, and he wasn't the only rookie that coming back, or a young player coming back. Then like the Evan Carter, haven't seen him this year. Some other big names. Corey Seager's been pretty good, but hasn't been as good as what he was last year.
Marcus Semien the same way.
Yep, same thing. So to me, and look, they could get hot again like they did last year, but to me, they've been the most disappointing team just because I thought that they were a team that could separate themselves in this division and win it easy.
Yeah. It seemed like they were just set up for let's this isn't just a 1-year thing. I mean, when you give up that much capital to get a Max Scherzer with 2 years left, or last year and this year under contract, you expect to compete for many years. And Texas has had a long. If you look at their draft picks, I mean, their draft picks have hit time and time again. And maybe a couple of these guys were rushed to the bigs, a little too soon. But yeah, that you're right. It's 100%. It's kind of a toss up between the Rays and them for me. But yeah, definitely, especially in that division with the West, where we all thought, for the past 7 years we've had the Houston Astros in the ALCS. Well, that's not going to be the case this year. I have a very good feeling. But as far as the National League goes, one thing I did want to hit on it in surprises, which I forgot. To me, the Washington Nationals are a very good surprise. Does the record reflect that? No. They're 44-53. However, if you compare their record to last year, I guarantee they're at least 10 games above where they were last year. This is not a team you can just roll out of bed and beat it, just beat with your B squad anymore. Mm-hmm. We mentioned CJ Abrams having a breakout year this year, and I think that's to say it's not going to be a one and done for him. It looks like he's finally putting the pieces together, and could be a very, very nice cornerstone for that Nats team moving forward. And again, we already bagged on the Cubs. You got to throw some shade here to the Diamondbacks too. I'm talking about a World Series hangover. Corbin Carroll has been, that sophomore slump is huge for him.
I've been great.
And one of the things that I was saying in that stats or our picks episode is athleticism doesn't go into a slump. I was wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, it's not only, and maybe it's a carryover from the box where he's not hitting as good as he thinks he should, or maybe that's gotten into his head, but it's even carried over on the bases. It's carried over in the field. Like he literally looks like a shell of himself. Mm-hmm. Am I ready to throw in the towel on him? Absolutely not. He's too good of a player. Players go through these sophomore slumps. I mean, it's a term for a reason. Moving forward with Paul Skeens next year. I mean, this year is going to be the longest year of baseball he's ever played. Time wise, game wise, everything, pitch wise. So that's why, sophomore slump is a real thing. It's not something that someone just made up. So I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm not saying take every single piece of memorabilia and cards that you bought from, if you're a Corbin Carroll fan, and just throw them out the window. I'm not saying that. But I think what's going on with him is going on with a lot of the other people on his team. Mm-hmm. So again, maybe again, and we're talking about a World Series hangover with two teams that aren't traditionally in it. Sure. And I think that might play on it too. That might play on it too. But as far as anything else here, as far as letdowns, 2Ks, did I miss any? Is there anything that stands out to you? Do you agree with me on the Nats being a surprise?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're a young athletic team that I love to watch. Mm-hmm. Is the pitching where it needs to be? No. But when you have a player that you can kind of, anchor that team on, especially a young kid as dynamic as he is, Washington already loves him. Mm-hmm. So, and the sad part is if you look at the guys that were there, Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, Max Scherzer. If you put those guys, even at Scherzer's advanced age, I mean, that's a squad. Mm-hmm. That's a squad. But, they're not printing money like the Dodgers are. So I get it. But yeah, all right. So out of our picks, 2Ks, is there one that you didn't remember making, or is there one that you're like, damn, I should have went a complete other way? I know we kind of breezed through them, but
I mean, if I could like you said earlier, when we talked about the National League Central, and I went with the Cubs and just said I always talked myself out of Milwaukee. I mean, here they do it to
You
me
sure
again,
did.
being at 55 and 42, going into the All-Star break, and kind of in the driver's seat to win that division this year. And as long as they stay healthy, to me they got one of the best catchers in the game, and
Mhm.
Contreras. They got Christian Yelich kind of having his season where
Bounce
he's,
back year.
yeah, just a great bounce back
Hmm.
year. Spent a little bit of time on the IL, out for a little bit, and even without him, they were still able to put games together and win them. They pitched the ball well. Yeah, they
Even without Corbin Carroll
yeah.
or Corbin Burns,
I mean,
excuse me.
they're a team right now that I think have kind of. I mean, it's obviously the Dodgers and Philly,
Hmm.
but I think the next team in line, I would say I have more confidence in the Brewers than I do with the Braves, with the injuries that the Braves have.
Well, I'm glad you said that too, Case, because if the Brewers were in the West, they'd be one game back of the Dodgers.
Hmm.
The Braves would be 3 games back of the Dodgers. So there's Philly that's out here, and then there's a bunch of teams in I guess you could say tier 2 if you want to talk about it like that. And the Dodgers are right there, or the Brewers are right there.
And I think, and it's so hard. Like, to me, I'm hard pressed to find a player and that means more to a baseball team than Ronald Acuna. So when you take
Yeah.
him out, like you take him out of that lineup, and it puts so much more pressure on LBs. Now you have Kalenic, who was batting 8-9 for you, batting leadoff.
Who just is exploded.
Last year, all the power numbers of Olsen, they've
Mhm.
went down drastically. Well, I think there's a lot of that. You take Acuna out, and I think it affects everybody.
Sure.
If it wasn't for kind of my dark horse right now to win the National League MVP, if it wasn't for Ozuna, that team might be
Yeah.
well behind where they could be a team that maybe would be shaky to even make a wild card spot.
Yes.
And Ozuna's been so good this year for them,
Mhm.
and I think Ozuna has a really good chance of possibly winning that MVP, just because what he has going. Otani's incredible. I sit up here and talk about how good of a hitter that guy is all night long. But I think it's going to be really hard for a strictly DH to win the MVP. His numbers are going to have to be really, really big time.
Yeah.
And if Ozuna gets hot, and like he already has been, he keeps on doing, and then say he gets starts hitting a few more home runs and puts himself in there where he's in the race with Otani as far as home run numbers and RBI numbers. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit of a race there.
Well, to kind of put a bow on what you're saying there, Shohei has 29 home runs. Ozuna has 26.
Mm-hmm. What's the RBI numbers there? Because Shohei, it doesn't help Shohei that with Mookie being out, you have Otani batting leadoff now, and I think that hurts him RBI wise.
Ozuna is second in all of baseball behind Judge, and Otani is sixth, 77 to 69.
Yeah, Otani's stolen base numbers are big though, because
And
you don't think of him being much of a base stealer.
kind of the thing that shocks me about Ozuna here, 2Ks, is he's batting 303,
Yeah.
where Otani's at 316.
Yeah, and I was looking earlier. You can get him at plus 2,500 for MVP right now.
The only thing that's going to stop him from winning MVP is what happened off the field.
Sure.
That is hands down. MLB will not let that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he goes on an absolute tear and there is no other candidate that even comes close.
Right. And
If it's kind of a coin flip like this,
mm-hmm.
there is no way that's coming up Ozuna. Just because, I mean, granted, it was in the past, whatever. Baseball does not see it like that. And,
Look, I'm not sitting up here and condoning anything that was done in his past, but my thing is, like, if you're gonna hold that kind of shit against him, why the fuck is he even playing in the first place?
Yep.
Shouldn't be in the league. If you have that big of an issue with the guy, he shouldn't be in the league. If he's in the league and he's playing right now and the head's been down, he hasn't been in trouble, and he's putting up these kind of numbers. If his numbers are what they are now and they're similar to Otani at the end of the season, and unfortunately with Mookie Betts' injury, Mookie probably runs away with his award if he's healthy. But with Mookie not being there, and these two are, I'm probably giving the nod to Ozuna just because he plays the field.
Yeah.
That's a big deal to me.
Oh yeah. But no, that it would be. Let's see. Yeah. Ozuna's played in 95 games. Otani's 94. They technically have Ozuna listed as a DH. Even though you're right, he he does play in the field occasionally, whereas Otani just doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Actually, Alec Baum is just ahead of Otani in RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. And yeah, just to give you the distance between Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. Judge has 85 RBIs. Soto has 66. And with the home run numbers, well, here to your point about Christian Yelich, he's second in baseball in batting average, just behind Stephen Kwan. Bobby Witt Jr. entered the All-Star break at 323 for third. Otani is 316 at 4, ahead of Luis Arias. So let's see here. The home runs. Give me the leaders. Nope, don't want to click on a personal loan ad. Damn it. These fucking ads. Get out of here.
Bryce Harper's number's got to be right up there too, as far as for MVP.
Yeah. Judge has 34, which is 5 more than Otani's 29. Ozuna has 26. And Soto has 23. So Judge has 11 more home runs than Soto. So that just kind of gives you the distance between the two. So that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, Ozuna's fourth in baseball in home runs with 26. So, well, yeah, I'm anytime Bryce Harper's healthy, you kind of have to give him at least a little bit of a look for MVP every single year, because he's Bryce Harper. That's just what he does. In 2Ks, did we miss anything? Is there anything we needed to touch on? I think we hit it. I think we checked all the boxes.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, probably the biggest surprise, I think, has to go to just because they've been what anybody that follows baseball for the last few years has said, that the American League Central is the biggest joke in baseball. And to me, this year, I think they're the biggest surprise. You have, you and I sat up here and thought the Tigers were the team that could win that division this year. And we had them as the favorite, and they're sitting at 4th. And it's not like they're out of a wild card. I think it's safe to say they don't have any chance of winning that division.
No.
But for Cleveland to be where they're at, nobody expected that. Everybody was kind of expecting the Twins to be maybe the favorite. And they're right up there. They got off to a really bad start, but have been arguably one of the best teams in baseball this second quarter. And then when you think of the Tigers, have been pretty damn solid. The Royals have been a pleasant surprise what they're doing. They're, I think, a little bit ahead of schedule as far as with all that young talent that they have.
They just added a huge piece.
Obviously, in that division, you have the worst team in all of baseball, so that kind of hurts them. But those 4 teams to me are all a pretty pleasant surprise. I mean, that's a division that to me is pretty scary. Those are some pretty good teams, and you see what the Tigers did against Cleveland in that division. The Tigers take 2 against the Dodgers this weekend. They can compete with that division can compete with any other division in baseball, in my opinion. Not as top heavy. You don't have the roster that looks like Baltimore's. You don't have the roster that looks like the Dodgers or the Phillies or somebody like that. But they're good fucking teams, and they're young and they're not going anywhere.
No, and they are a very nice surprise. They very, very much are. We touched on the draft here a little bit, but that the Royals being able to draft that Caglione kid from Florida, he's a first baseman and a pitcher. Have a very good feeling the pitching side is going to have to go by the wayside, just because they were talking about how if he didn't swing and miss as much, he probably would have went number 1 overall. But you're talking about a dude that I believe he's the only guy in SEC history to hit back-to-back 30 home run years. Watched him in the College World Series just shit on everybody. So to put that guy on the same infield in that same lineup as Bobby Witt Jr. and that crew over there, ooh, buddy, that's gonna be. And I know it's in your division, but damn, the Braves took Cam Caminiti. Love that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Like the Braves need any more pitching. The Braves need any more good young studs. But yeah, I'm super stoked to see where that division goes because it's not as sexy and exciting as the AL East.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's two teams right now that are separated by a game, and they just got done playing each other. They're probably gonna split when it comes down to the season. They're probably gonna have an even record against one another because they're both so just good.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come down to who beat, insert team here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the Red Sox, maybe it's the Rays or the Blue Jays. Whoever beats them more than the other guy is going to take home the division. The other guy's going to have to fight through the wild card. So, but yeah, that's it. It's going to be that AL East race is going to be very fun to watch.
Yeah, and the other thing too that's interesting, like the Yankees pissed that one away today on the Volpe error at the end, and it's like those are two teams that this All-Star game to me is coming at a perfect time because they're scuffling a little bit. The Yankees have not been very good. Baltimore have not had the power numbers the last few weeks that they were having, and Baltimore is very, very reliant on the home run ball.
Yeah,
when they're not hitting home runs like they were in that first, especially first quarter of the season. They're not as good as they don't manufacture runs like a lot of these other teams can do, especially like the Phillies, what they can do from top to bottom in their lineup. So to me, the All-Star game's coming at a perfect time for those two. They can kind of recoup a little bit, and then hopefully get back to, well, you might not be saying hopefully, but I'm just saying in general for all of baseball. Hopefully they can get it back to going a little bit and start playing kind of the way that they're capable of playing. And they haven't played to that level these last few weeks. Either one of those teams.
Well, the Yankees, it goes back. It's quite a few, since they left Boston.
Yeah.
And maybe it was the curse of Alex Verdugo because he was one of the reasons why they lost. It was either today or yesterday. Ball hit to him and he falls down. And now there's, anonymous players within the locker room saying that, he's lazy, he doesn't run shit out. And it's like, well, Red Sox fans have been saying that for quite a not me personally. I was always a huge, just because I liked his personality. But Red Sox fans have seen that since he got over here. So we tried to tell you. We tried to tell you, but since he came back to Boston, hit a home run, pimped it out, and then once the Red Sox went to New York, I think it was game 1 or game 2 of that series, or game 1, I believe, he hit a home run, pimped it out again. Then Devers hit one, pimped him down to first. And so that the Yankees have been I'm not I want to say the record wise have been the worst team in baseball in that span. Since I want to say it was early in June, but they've had the worst record since that series in Boston till now. So yeah, as far as needing the rest, yeah, and Carlos Rodon is probably the number one guy on that team that needs the rest. That dude has been absolutely terrible. We talked about them needing to bolster the pitching staff. They didn't listen. Then we said, well, they're just going to outslug everybody. I mean, that's what that team is set up to do. Well, they're not doing that either. That Gill kid, pleasant surprise if you're a Yankee fan. That kid's a stud.
Oh, absolutely.
But where do you go from there? Garrett Cole has been a shell of himself since he came off the IL. Did he come back a little early? Who knows? Is that is the elbow still chirping a little bit? Not sure. But his ERA is up around 6 since he came back. So he's not, the Garrett Cole we're used to, the reigning Cy Young Award winner Garrett Cole. And the bullpen has been not nearly as dominant as we've seen a lot of Yankee teams. So I don't know. It might come down to starting pitching to win that division, and I'm taking the Orioles hands down every single time when it comes to that. The rosters, I think, are, as far as hitting, they're pretty balanced. I think the Orioles are far more athletic than the Yankees. But again, going to be super fun to watch coming down the pike here. I can't wait. All right. Well, 2Ks, I think we totally forgot about a top 5 for this week. So You have to
Oh, I had
tune in.
a lot going on. Last
Yeah.
day of baseball until the All-Star break, and yeah, so a lot going on.
Well, next week you want to try to guess the picks of
Yeah,
where game day will
yeah,
be.
yeah. And in other college football
Yeah.
news, NCAA college football comes out. If you
Is that
pre-ordered it,
tomorrow?
if you pre-ordered it, you can play it tomorrow. I think it's at 4 o'clock is when you can actually will be able to play it. And then for people that are not pre-ordering it, they can buy it on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Why would you not pre-order it?
Well, you had to pay a little bit more money to pre-order because you had to buy they find ways to,
Oh,
to
sure.
to wrap you up and get you into it. You have to pay a little bit more money for that, which I did.
Well,
Um,
they've only been working on this game for like 2 decades.
yeah,
So
yeah,
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 I'm sure it's kind of expensive right now.
yeah. I
So
wanted to call into work for this fucking day. I mean, that's how excited I am for it. But then I found out that you can't play it until 4, so I'll go to work then.
yeah, yeah.
And
Now
I
the
just happened to get out of work at 4, so it works out perfect.
the bad part is by the time you get out of work, come home, start playing it, there's going to be 12-year-olds that have been playing it
Oh,
for just an
Yep,
hour.
yep, yep. And then you got to go through all the, you got to download the game and
Yeah.
on and all that shit. So I already got Nolan on lock. I will be calling Nolan in the afternoon, telling him to get that all going. Which, by the way, for any of you that don't know, Nolan is 6.
Yeah.
But I've gave him the rundown today. He knows what to do. He knows the drill. He's ready. He's ready to go.
Okay, he's a team player. He's a team player. All right. Well, we will see each and every one of you again next week. Thank everyone for watching, even though the TikTok has exceeded the time limit. No big deal. For those of you do watching over on Facebook and over on YouTube, big shout out. Continue to watch the clips that we put out. Those are getting a lot of getting a lot of views. So we're very excited about that. But we will see you next week, and hopefully we can get C-Hut on here as well. So I think it'd be a lot cooler to get a 3-person panel for this selection show. And yeah, we will see you all next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.